Hey guys, it's Vandiazo back again with another Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. So if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to Patreon. Let's get this one started. Today's deck is Kagero, Dauntless. It is a good deck. I like Break Right era. It is actually one of my favorite eras of all time, if not my favorite era of all time of Card Fight Vanguard. Even more than Limit Break, despite the fact Ezo came out in Limit Break. But Dauntless was one of my favorite break rides solely because it's a restanding card and I am a sucker for restanding effects. So, let's go ahead and get this started. First up today's starter is Lizard Runner Undu. 6k base, 10k shield, just the standard starter, auto and road upon you get to draw a card, and then if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 1 or greater, get a quick shield ticket. The draw that I always top deck off of, which I question how that's physically possible, that happens every time, and then followed by the quick shield, which is a 5k shield basically. So yeah. Trigger-wise, we got 6 draws, 6 crit, 2 Toxo Philippid Dragon. I probably said that wrong. 2 Demonic Dragon Maze Rashaska, 4 Wyvern Guard Berry, and 4 Angry Horn Dragon. This deck is very aggressive because of the restanding, but because to restand you have to discard 3, and there are other cards in this deck that force you to discard as well. I feel like the draws are needed, but I don't think you need too many of them considering you get a lot of extra drive checks. So I say 6 is a good number, followed by the crits because you want to be aggressive. And then finally the heal, Dragon Mage Genjo, because you need heals. Don't lie to yourself. And now into the main deck. 2 copies of Flame of Hope Airmo, 8k base, 10k shield. Continuous rear during the battle that it boosted. It gets 3k power, so it becomes an 11k booster. And then auto rear when your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn. Retire this unit, draw a card, and countercharge one. So pretty much kill it, countercharge, draw a card by killing something else in your opponent's board, and it can be by anything that dies. So it could be by battle, it could be by card effect. As long as something dies, you get the counter charge off. So it's just helpful to get a free draw out of it and get the counter charge if you actually need the counter blast. 2 copies because he doesn't really come in that useful at most times, but he's still useful nonetheless. 3 copies of Lava Flow Dragon. 8k base, 10k shield, continuous Vanna rear during your turn. If you have more rear guards than your opponent, this unit gets plus 5k power. So 13k base, that's pretty good. And then auto Vanna rear, the standard one plays like a top 5 for a grade 3. Put it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you put a card, you got to discard one. So you don't need this many. You don't need 4 because all you need is 1 Dauntless and maybe 1 copy of the backup grade 3, and you're good. So I don't think you really need the Searcher that much. And his 5k power ability, like, I would rather have Airmo in hand than I would have this, and I rarely use Airmo skill, so yeah, that's how it goes. So 3 copies of him, though, because he can help you if you need to search your pieces. 4 copies of what I feel like should be a staple, Heat Shot Dragon, 8k base, 10k shield, auto Van when placed, discard a card from hand to draw a card, and auto rear at the end of the battle that it boosted to grade 3. If the boosted unit stands, stand this unit as well. So on ride, if you have to ride it, do not ride this if you have a choice. You discard 1 to draw a card, so you might be plussing, you might be minusing, depending on what you draw and what you discard. But then the main effect, you basically can, when your Vanguard restands, when you boost with this will also restand, and you just get more attacks out of it. So really helpful card because you can just get more attacks and more power out of your Vanguard attacks. So 4 copies. 4 copies of Dragon Knight He Shot. 8k base, 10k shield. Auto rear when placed, counterblast 1 and soul blast 1 to draw a card, choose one of your opponent's backward rear guards and retire it. And then auto when rode upon, look at top 5, reveal a grade 3 or greater from among them, put it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So pretty much, and its second ability is a better version of Lava Flow to some extent. You do have to ride upon it, so to even get that effect off in the first place, you have to ride it at grade 1. But if you do ride it at grade 1, you just get a free grade 3 search. And on the other one, you counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 to draw more cards and kill a backward unit. And if you have Airmo, you basically Soul Blasted 1 to kill a unit on the opponent's board and then draw 2. So 4 copies because he can work around with the deck a lot. And now into grade 2s. 4 copies of Bellicosity Dragon. 10k base, 5k shield, auto Vanna rear. When your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, it gets plus 5k power until end of turn. So this deck, as you can see, doesn't really have that many retiring effects, but it's mainly here for, like, if you have to swing at the rear guards because your other things can't hit, then you swing at the rear guards, boost up Bellicosity, and then you swing with Bellicosity, and then you swing with Van for big numbers with most likely a Force 2 on it with restandingness. So he's helpful. He doesn't really hit that high. There are occasions where he will actually hit high, though, like 30k swings on his own, I think. I'm pretty sure sometimes he will hit 30k swings. So 4 copies, because he actually can become a really good card. 4 copies of Torrid Cannon Dragon. 10k base, 5k shield, activate or rear, once per turn, counterblast 1 and put a normal unit from drop zone on the bottom of your deck. Choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards, retire it, and if you have 4 or less cards in hand, draw a card. So, pretty much, send something back to the deck that you need, kill an opponent's rear guard, and if your hand is less than 4, which it actually needs to be 4 or greater for you to use Dauntless, you get to draw a card. So if you're on the brink, you can at least use it to draw. So 4 copies. And 4 copies of the new grade 2 Break Breath Dragon. 10k base, 5k shield, auto rear at the end of the battle that attacked. If your opponent's rear guard was retired this turn, retire it to draw a card, and then auto and wrote upon choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. If you do not retire, draw a card. So you have to pick something to kill, but if you don't pick something because they don't have anything, you at least get a free draw out of it, and you can basically get another draw out of it when you attack with it as long as something was retired this turn. Pretty much the whole point of this deck is just to retire during the battle phase so that you don't really pay much cost, but there are cards that will benefit off it from the main phase. So 4 copies of Break Breath because he does get you more draws, and that's what we need. And now into the grade 3s. 4 copies of Dual Axe Arch Dragon. For the record, and I just find this funny, whenever people make decks, I normally see like triple rares or double rares and the occasional rare in like their deck profiles in grade 3s, because for grade 3s I feel like you need some form of flashiness, because that's genuinely what it is. Just grade 3s are straight up the flashy cards at the end that you wait like a month to see revealed. You shove them all in the deck by spending your entire wallet on them, and then your deck just looks cool when you get to grade 3. Well, this is a fucking promo. And yet, this one promo is the sole reason why I kicked everyone's ass when I'm using Dauntless and why I have yet to lose a match with Dauntless. I am not joking. Because of this one promo and a combo with Dauntless, I have yet to lose a match because of it. So straight up, Dual Arch Dragon, but skill, Act Van, 13k base and 4 skip by the way, counterblast 1 and discard a card from hand, retire all your opponent's back row rear guards, and until end of turn when your opponent would call a card from her hand to guard circle, he or she must call 2 more at the same time. Okay, you may be wondering, how is that helpful in any way, shape, or form? Because at most that's like, if combined with Dauntless, that's only 4 attacks, so like 8 cards. Well, here's what you do. Call down Bellicosity to the rear guard. Use this thing skill, counterblast, nuke the back row. Bellicosity basically gets plus 15 if your opponent had a full back row, followed by forcing them to throw down like 8 cards to survive this turn. 8 cards alone is like a hefty cost. Straight up, use this against Sanctuary. I dare you, because I did it once too. I didn't know he was using Sanctuary, he just decided to use it, and this card kicked his ass very badly, and it was very funny to watch just this card destroy everything that person had to hope for and wish. So, 4 copies of Dual Axe Arch Dragon can force out more hand cards. It's only a discard 1 and counterblast 1 and nuke the whole back row, and combined with Bellicosity and Dauntless, you can hit high powers with multiple attacks, almost killing your opponent, if not killing your opponent. So 4 copies. And speaking of the main Dauntless, 4 copies of Dauntless Drive Dragon. 13k base, Imaginary Gift Force, Auto Van at the end of the battle that your drive check revealed 2 or more normal units. One of your front row rear guards gets plus 10k power to end of turn. For the first time I used that, I actually thought it was just one of your front row units, but it's normal rear guards. And then Auto Van once per turn. At the end of the battle that attacked, if your hand has 4 or more cards, discard 3 and stand this unit, and auto when wrote upon, choose one of your vanguards, and it gets all of this card's auto abilities other than this ability until end of turn. Okay, basically, recapping. Straight up Break Ride. That original thing from the Break Ride where when it wrote upon, give the thing plus 10 and then auto when it attacks, or at the end of the battle it attacks, discard 3, restand it with minus drive, I believe. Or maybe it didn't minus your drive, I'm not so sure. But either way, still gives it the restand ability, and if you ride a Dauntless on top of it, you can restand twice, and when you drive check 2 or more normal units, you get plus 10k to something. So you are guaranteed a trigger. No matter what, you are guaranteed some form of a trigger. And I just want to say, this thing's full art looks fucking beautiful, or SP art. This thing looks goddamn beautiful. I would ride this fucker in a battle. It just looks so majestic. I definitely know what the thumbnail is going to be for this video. But yeah, pretty much, you get some free restands. I say on first grade 3 turn it's not as impactful. I mean, how I play the deck, I still use it anyways, because I just like using restanding skills. So Dauntless, on the first grade 3 turn, it's not really that impactful unless you just want to run down your opponent's hand. But like when you ride another Dauntless on top of it later, or when you ride Arc Dragon on top of it and use its skill, it definitely wipes out the opponent's hand to where if they don't survive, to where if they do survive this, they ain't surviving the next one. That's all I can guarantee you for. So 4 copies of Dauntless. If you want a suggestion of how to play this deck or like how to just set up for later, make sure that, well, obviously that your first ride is a Dauntless, but make sure that you have both one Arch Dragon and at least one Dauntless in your hand before you go to your ride phase. Hopefully that's the case, because then you have options where if you think your opponent can survive this, then just go into the other Dauntless that you can use Arch Dragon next turn, and if you think that they won't survive this, go into Arch Dragon this turn. So pretty much just make sure that you're prepared for it. And then on to the gift-wise, we got 4 Force 1s, 4 Force 2s. In my whole entire time of testing Dauntless, I have only had to use 3 gifts once. Straight up once. There was no other point in time where they survived longer than 2 grade 3 turns. It's very funny. So Force 1, if you don't know, it's just when acquired, you can put it on a Vanguard or Rear Guard. It can be stacked, and the unit on the circle gets plus 10k power during your turn only. And then Force 2 also can be put on Vanguard or Rear. Doesn't stack, but it gives it plus, and it makes its original critical become 2. I'm not so sure why this says power, though. So, pretty much, this deck uses Force 2 more than Force 1. This deck, granted, does not get very much power when just using Dauntless as a giant beat stick, because I know how this deck works. I've literally only called down one other unit at a time whenever I'm playing Dauntless. I normally call Heat Shot to the back row, Dauntless to the front, and then attack with it, and I'll call like a Tort or a Bellicosity or a Break Breath, one of those 3. Ignore that. And I'll call one of those 3 to the rear guard. And that's all I pretty much do with my play. But it really just works with the Force 2 because it does force out more guarding power. And when you restand constantly, they have to constantly guard the Vanguard and risk of either a critical trigger or you actually killing them. And when you do drive check triggers, or since you're guaranteed to drive check or trigger regardless, you give the power to the rear guard, ram with it. If it doesn't have a Force 2 on it, they're most likely going to take it. Or you can just ram into the rear guard and then kill them the next turn. So I like Force 2 with this deck. You can use Force 1 if you want, but I think Force 2 honestly works better. And then we got the quick shield. When one of your units is attacked, it gets plus 5k power till end of battle, which I don't know why it's not an actual shield, but at least it gives you an actual power. And that was the deck. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon. My link to the second channel focused on Beyblades in the description below. So is the link to the Discord, so you can go join that. And so is the link to the Twitch, so you can go follow that. And don't forget to stand up your Vanguard.